You know, it's so crazy to me because I'm asked so many times if I'm, resentful in any type of way for where the WNBA is right now.
What Caitlin Clark supporters have been yelling all season was just stated by Candace Parker. And the old guard of the WNBA didn't want to hear it at all. And the league must pay attention, particularly the commissioner. Because it has only gotten worse, despite our hopes that a new season would bring a different perspective on Caitlin and her admirers. The double standards are more obvious than ever, the jealousy is louder, and the bitterness is deeper. However, WNBA legend Candace just intervened and made them all appear stupid. It's only a matter of common sense. Comments that break through the clutter and provide context for the entire issue. Perhaps now they will pause and reflect. Because this is what this season has taught us. The league becomes louder and more self-destructive the more Caitlin wins. Let's examine Candace's remarks, as they may be the most subdued yet significant retaliation against Caitlin Clark's detractors and the WNBA's establishment. First, though, like this video. For the haters, every like is equivalent to one tissue. After what Candace stated, they will require it. For more updates on Caitlin Clark and Fever, don't forget to subscribe. Alright, so what is the significance of Candace's recent statement? Here is the primary cause.
Out of women's basketball for a horrible team when she arrived. Outside of LeBron and Steph, she is the most well-known basketball player currently playing in the United States.
Oh, yes. And I don't think that's close.
The WNBA is now growing at an amazing rate. And Caitlin Clark is solely to blame. In sports, it's the worst-kept secret. Not only is Caitlin Clark the most well-liked player in WNBA history, she is probably America's most well-liked athlete. For a period. Everyone is aware of the previous season's numbers. TV viewership hit a record high, ticket sales skyrocketed, and merchandise flew off the shelves. One indisputable reality was indicated by every quantifiable metric. Nobody changes the needle like Caitlin. She's already surpassing it this year. Arenas were sold out, and attendance broke records. There is no slowing down of the Caitlin Clark effect. It is growing in size.
It is the second highest viewership, which is like average viewership. However, it was the highest peak of any game ever on CBS.
This season, unprecedented numbers of fans are turning in to see Caitlin Clark and the Fever. A preseason exhibition match against Brazil drew 1.3 million spectators. Take a moment to process that. Numbers from a preseason game were better than those from regular season games. The season opener followed. It was the highest watched WNBA regular season game in 25 years, with an average of 2.7 million viewers. Additionally, 3.3 million people saw her fight for liberty just lately. However, things quickly altered when she was hurt.
And now that Caitlin Clark is injured, the ticket prices for the Fever and Sky game just plummeted to Hades.
The cost of tickets to Fever games without Caitlin fell by 300%. The rest of the league trailed far behind, even though Fever supporters held their own in terms of TV ratings. I'll talk about that in a moment. Everyone should take this as a wake-up call. The league itself, the players, the coaches, and the front desk. It is anticipated that Caitlin Clark will bring in more than $1 billion for the WNBA this year alone. And that has one meaning. The WNBA might lose all of its momentum with just one significant injury to Caitlin Clark. I know you think you have the upper hand, but without Caitlin, forget about that new agreement Nafisa Collier says the players have leverage for, and those CBA dollars Angel believes are on the horizon. Despite this, the league continues to make mistakes. They tie themselves into knots, acting as though it's something else, rather than accepting the apparent truth about who is driving this expansion. Instead of acknowledging the accomplishments, they continue to steer the discussion away from basketball and onto other topics.
You know, the loudest mics, like I stated, are the ones that's race baiting. Not even bringing up the names, but all the people that I'm seeing that are tied within the WNBA media, coaches, all type of things. They are very resentful of Caitlin Clark, and I don't know why. It doesn't make sense when you have somebody that's doing what she's doing for the WNBA.
Just a few games have been played this season, and already Caitlin and her supporters have been the target of facepalm after facepalm. The turmoil started after just one game. Based on nothing, the league opened an investigation into alleged hate speech following the opening match against the Sky. However, the harm had already been done. The headlines were manipulated rather than honoring an amazing debut and a league record-breaking occasion. Basketball wasn't the subject of the narrative. It had to do with controversy. Once more, Caitlin Clark and her supporters were drawn into a story that was unrelated to the real events that took place on the court.
You even though it's 100% false, by acknowledging we don't condone hate and not seeing that this was a internet rumor founded of complete bullshit, you're lending credence to this. There was none of that.
The idea that Caitlin Clark's fanbase was nasty and that Indianapolis wasn't a safe place for athletes emerged from that catastrophe. In fact, there were calls for the All-Star game to be moved. Due to his heckling of Angel Reese, some were calling for Dave Portnoy to be prohibited from arenas. Regarding the actual hate being aimed at Caitlin and the Fever, the league has remained utterly mute. Nothing, no claims, no backing.
We've gone way out of bounds.
The criticism of the Fever players, particularly Caitlin, extended well beyond the realm of basketball. They went beyond simple critiques of her fame or her game. They were menacing and hostile.
The kind of stuff that's being said to them, the stuff that's being said to Kelsey Mitchell, the kind of things that are being said to Natasha Howard are actually wild. People have taken a photo of these women and circled a bullseye on them and have said, "It's on site when I see you." Those are actual threats.
These were not only offensive remarks. They constituted real dangers. The kind of personally directed assaults you would anticipate the league, particularly one that frequently promotes its position on inclusiveness and hate, would at the very least denounce. However, nothing was done, no defense, no support, no statement, and things just got worse. Fans on X are now accusing Caitlin of exploiting her assistant coach's baby as a prop, which is a significant development.
Caitlin Clark is getting some of the grossest, most morbid comments, racist, hateful. We're talking the cup runneth over with hate. Here, Kathy Engelbert, you're no space for hate? Where are you right now?
Yes, exactly. Caitlin is being attacked for carrying a baby. We're dealing with conversation at that level. The league still has nothing to say, and it has evolved from criticism to conspiracy. Thus, the animosity directed at Caitlin and her followers has completely vanished. It's just gotten worse, if anything. There is still opposition to recognizing her influence despite all the statistics, sold-out games, and record-breaking attendance. And the top is where it begins.
Kathy Engelbert, in this long, drawn-out article, goes on and gives herself credit for why the WNBA has finally entered some type of mainstream conversation.
In an article for the Harvard Business Review, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert went above and beyond to claim credit and distribute it to everyone except the individual who was most responsible for the league's success. You name it, athletes, coaches, marketing departments, front desk tactics, etc. She brought it up. Caitlin Clark received almost no attention, but everyone received a slap on the back.
To new followers and outside observers, our organization's success might seem overnight and even lucky, prepared by a singularly exceptional group of college players coming into the WNBA. However, we could not have capitalized on those advantages without years of hard work and preparation. Years of hard work and preparation. It might have seemed like it came overnight.
She significantly lessened Caitlin's influence compared to a McDonald's fountain drink. As these rookies joined the league, regular season games attracted an average of 1.2 million spectators, jumping 170% from the previous season, according to the report, which grouped Caitlin Clark alongside Angel Reese and Cameron Brink. However, your dog, and you are all aware of it. Caitlin's games had an average viewership of 1.2 million. However, There is a constant rush to give gold stars to everyone but Caitlin because the old guard finds it intolerable that she is receiving all the praise.
They just can't. They just can't not even wrap their head around. They can't just accept, okay, this person is more popular than me, or this person is more popular than the player that we want to push.
The feeling of jealousy is one thing. It's human, but that's not all we're witnessing. For some reason, people feel the need to knock Caitlin down in order to feel better. Furthermore, racism is far too frequently invoked as the reason why she is receiving so much attention. As if it had nothing to do with the fact that in her first season, she broke 62 WNBA records, was selected to the first-team All-Star squad, finished 4th in the MVP voting, and led a bottom-dwelling team into the playoffs. The reason it's crazy is that, whether they choose to acknowledge it or not, Caitlin Clark is improving everyone's circumstances. When she is the center of attention, it doesn't end there. The league as a whole benefits from it.
When they play in these arenas where there are 15 to 20,000 people in the stands, they are in front of people that they haven't been in front of before. That is an opportunity for all of us fans to get to know all the players on the court, all of the players in the WNBA, to pick new favorite players, to pick other teams that we want to follow along.
Legends who have really founded this league and are aware of the stakes have already spoken out against it. One of the most revered voices in women's basketball and a Hall of Famer is Lisa Leslie. When she pointed out the jealousy around Caitlin Clark, Mike essentially shut down the WNBA as a whole.
I think it's all about money, marketing, and we cannot deny what Caitlin Clark has done for the women's game. I'm not going to act like it's something that we don't see. She's had a huge effect, called the Caitlin Clark effect. Yes, have we ever had teams have to get into larger arenas to play against a team? No, we have not. So if we have more eyeballs on the game and Caitlin Clark brings that, why would we feel some kind of way because she has more television games?
However, the resistance persists. Once more, the league required a dose of common sense. And it appears that only the ancient guard, the legends who truly recognize how unique this moment is, can provide that reality check. Candace Parker is the epitome of old guard. A 3-time WNBA champion, 2-time Olympic gold winner, and 2-time league MVP. She is among the most accomplished, well-liked, and wise athletes the WNBA has ever seen. She also joined Stephen A. Smith on First Take this week to accomplish something that no anyone else in the league has dared to do. Speak to the room's elephant.
Ultimately, it comes down to the fact that there were an abundance of women in the WNBA doing tremendous work on behalf of the WNBA and the game of basketball, and you just sense that folks were feeling an absence of appreciation.
Credit where credit is due. Stephen A. Smith hasn't held back from speaking his mind. He is among the few well-known voices who are prepared to use the word jealousy. He has witnessed it. It has been viewed by fans. It is evident to all WNBA viewers at the moment. He also gave Nifa Collier, who had complained about Caitlin receiving more nationally televised games, a logic bomb on First Take.
But then this dude named Michael Jordan came along. And Michael Jordan came along and he wasn't yet winning championships, but his popularity was so astronomical that the NBA practically marketed everything they could around this guy. So to know that there's an example like that as a shining example to be followed that could benefit the league, particularly down the road, why is that an issue when we've seen that such a marketing plan has worked in the past?
This was hardly your typical softball interview. There would be pushback, avoiding, and fluff in this setting. Instead, the focus would be on getting right to the point.